Hello people. As someone who played almost all of the Bioware games, I thought I'd chime in and give my 2 cents on Dragon Age Veilguard and why the game matched my expectations fully. I enjoyed Bioware's Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, Dragon Age, KOTOR, and my favorite game of all time, Mass Effect. All of those games made Bioware stand tall over other game developers, making them a reference point other games were compared to theirs. So it would be just as fair to compare Veilguard to their earlier games. Dragon Age and Mass Effect stand out as their IPs, no need to buy D&D or Star Wars licenses. Pure profit. Both games were being developed when EA saw that Bioware has good potential. They had the creativity and EA knew Bioware was working on those new IPs. EA bought Bioware in 2007. At the same time that year, Mass Effect came out and Dragon Age Origins came out just 2 years later. Keep in mind that Mass Effect was planned to be a trilogy. It shows without me telling. Both games saw epic success and EA was happy. Bioware showed it was a golden goose, making money and good reputation. Creativity on all cylinders. But that right there is the problem. You can't force creativity. If you make something special, it starts being special, and after that it can still be good, but the quality of it, the novelty of it, it degrades with each iteration. For me, Dragon Age Inquisition was okay. I felt the shift, but it still had some great memorable moments. To this day, I still have the Dawn Will Come song in my playlist. But the whole game felt like it was the last Dragon Age game, like they lost the thread. I was okay with it, since not all things in life need to go on forever. Tell a story, beginning, middle, and the end, and be done with it. When you buy a book and it's a good one, you keep it and read it again if you want, whenever you want. It doesn't need to be forcefully extended. And now, after Inquisition, we get Andromeda, an attempt that sadly showed the true state of Bioware. The golden goose lost its feathers, or should we say, the creative people either left or were absorbed by the behemoth that is EA. But wait, Bioware has an ace up their sleeve, a game like no other they ever made, a game that was such a shift from the top-down RPG style of Baldur's Gate and KOTOR that I have no idea why it was made by Bioware at all. The only explanation is that Bioware is a studio that makes games and, well, Anthem is a game. They couldn't just sit on their asses and not make games, right? The gods of revenue must be appeased. At this time, EA sees Bioware as just a goose, but goose eggs, golden or not, can be sold. Bioware teases Dragon Age Dreadwolf in 2018 and officially announces the game 4 years later. This already was a bad sign, showing trouble inside the studio. Just to mention, Dragon Age Dreadwolf was the game's name until just 5 months before its release. So since the teaser in 2018 to middle of 2024, so that's 6 years, the game didn't have a fitting name. Changing the game's name just before release. Red flag to be sure. 10 years since the last game. I honestly forgot most of the story and now they want to continue it? It would be like they announce a new season of How I Met Your Mother, or even more relatable, the new Matrix Resurrections movie. The trailer showed a totally different approach to a once gritty, bloody, dark fantasy game. It looked clean, too clean. Not a single speck of dust, mud, or, God forbid, blood anywhere. Clean faces, clean armors, clean floor, and the style looked more like a Disney movie than anything. You could argue that there is blood spatter, and yeah, there is, as a visual effect, but it doesn't stain anything, it turns to nothing as fast as it appeared. Funny thing is that there was so much gore in Dragon Age Origins that people wanted it reduced so they can admire their nice looking armor, and I understand that, but this is taking it to the extreme. Bioware shows us gameplay footage of combat and it looks different. In Origin, you could control your companions or set up behavior macros, which I loved. My friend back then had only set up macros for when the companions took health potions, but I went all out and basically made it so that I could only think about my hero while they do their thing. Difference was that his fight lasted way longer than mine, since he had to position them, tell them which ability to use, who to target, etc. Where I did all of that, but in the form of macros. I love that choice was there. But even in Inquisition, companions had health, mana, armor, and they did damage, contributed, and could even get down in a fight. Oh yeah, there was a pause button for combat, so you could give orders and get an overview. Veilguard takes a different approach, a very different approach. Gone is the pause button, the health, the damage. Well, let's be honest, the companions were removed and in their place you have an NPC that jumps around and dances with the enemy until you open the ability menu and tell them to use it. They can't even get downed. From a full party down to, hey, just hang back, I'll talk to you when I need you to cast that one spell. Other than that, don't talk to me. Level design, characters and UI and enemies were all made in a such generalist approach, like an asset flip from their internal Bioware asset library. It was like the kitchen staff started gathering, preparing as much as ingredients as they could, but chef left before it could all be made into a dish, and the restaurant hired a new chef that just tried to tie it up all together in his style with the ingredients that were pre-prepared. So let's just ask the question, why did Bioware want to make another Dragon Age game in the first place? They had a choice to create a brand new IP, but they were not confident enough that the new IP would have the ability to stand strong on its own merits. Dragon Age Origin was a new game and it was great. It carved its own place in gaming history. Piggybacking on a name that had some weight was done in order to try and entice old players to buy the game. But why not other games? What other games? Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, KOTOR aren't truly their games. We only have Dragon Age, Anthem and Mass Effect. Anthem is a stain on their record that lost them a lot of favor from EA, and a new Mass Effect game is in the works. So in the end, it wasn't a choice at all. It was just a directive that said, make games. And Bioware nodded and started working like the servitor it is, making product for the EA overlords for all eternity. Why so long? Well, most people forget that companies tend to outlive us, and as EA is holding the Westwood studio and Command & Conquer games in a formalin jar, so it will be with Bioware, storing their acquired IPs on a shelf next to each other until time of their choosing. I did not have any confidence that Bioware could deliver a fresh, good take on a franchise that ended 10 years ago. I expected a mediocre game that only wears the skin of Dragon Age. It's not worth my time and it won't be the talk of the year. This one, or the next one, or the year after. And I'm fine with that, because we need to fail in order to see where we need to improve, as do gaming studios. You made a bad game? You have three choices: give up and shut down any further development of the game, fix the game and earn respect from your customers, or try making another one until you succeed. There are studios that have regained favor with their customer base. It is possible. Just make a good game, do it as a passion project, not because your bosses told you have to make a product. Have the balls to make a new IP like your predecessors did. What is a measure of success with a video game, or shall I say product? Meeting a clear market need, unique value, quality, user-centered design, effective marketing, and lastly, strong customer support and feedback channels. Did Veilguard achieve this? Did it make a return on investment? Meaning, did Bioware break even when comparing units sold and money invested to make the game? Much of the drama surrounding Dragon Age Veilguard is an emotional response from the fan base that feels betrayed and from the player base that feels like they were left out as target audience. Rightfully so. It is questionable for who was this game made, since it is such a departure from Dragon Age brand that it can be considered a part of it. The game failed its fans and it failed to make new ones. I'm not glad to see a game fail, but sometimes it is necessary. You cannot get a free pass because 10-15 years ago you made something good. I want the gaming industry to have good games. This is achieved through competition. This is why a solo dev can create a game that can compete with a AAA studio. It's about making a good product for the customer and nothing else. Thanks for listening, and be optimistic but cautious about the upcoming Mass Effect game. See ya. Oh yeah, remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to discuss gaming stuff with me, come over to my Discord server.